Thank you, Prabhu. You can start.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Mudiraye. Antam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravan Kirtana. Vidyantastoya Bhadrani Vidanti Swatsata. Nastapráyasya Bhadresha Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 28th chapter. There are two verses today, 33 and 34. Verse number 33. Vibhajyatanayebhya kshama Rajrishi Maladhvaja Arirādhayishu Krishnam sa Jagam Kulachalam. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After this, the great saintly king Maladhvaja divided his entire kingdom among his sons. Then, in order to worship Lord Krishna with full attention, he went to a solitary place known as a Kulachal. Purport. Maladhvaj, the great king, was certainly a Mahabhagavat, a topmost devotee. By executing a devotional service, he begot many sons and disciples for propagating the Bhakti cult. Shravan Kirtanam Vishnu. Actually, the entire world should be divided among such disciples. Everyone should be engaged in the preaching the cult of Krishna consciousness. In other words, when disciples are grown up and are able to preach, the spiritual master should retire and sit down in a solitary place to write and execute Nirjan Bhajan. This means sitting silently in a solitary place and executing devotional service. This Nirjan Bhajan, which is the silent worship of the Supreme Lord, is not possible for a neophyte devotee. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur never advised a neophyte devotee to go to a solitary place to engage in devotional service. Indeed, he has written a song in this connection. Dushtaman tumi kisera Vaishnava Pratisthane tare nirjan ghare Tav hari naam keval kaitava. My dear mind, what kind of devotee are you? Simply for cheap adoration, you sit in a solitary place and pretend to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But this is all cheating. Thus, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur advocated that every devotee under the guidance of an expert spiritual master preach the Bhakti cult, Krishna consciousness all over the world. Only when one is mature can he sit in a solitary place and retire from the preaching all over the world. Following this example, the devotees of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness now render service as preachers in various parts of the world. Now they can allow the spiritual master to retire from active preaching work. In the last stage of the spiritual master's life, the devotee of the spiritual master should take preaching activities into their own hands. In this way, the spiritual master can sit down in a solitary place and render the Nirjan Bhajan. Verse number 34. Hitva grahan sutan bhogan Vaidarbhi madirekshana Andadhavat pandayiksham Jotsaneva Rajnikaram. Translation. Just as the moonshine follows the moon at the night, immediately after the king Maladhvaj departed for Kulachala, his devoted wife, whose eyes were very enchanting, followed him, giving up all homely happiness despite family and children. Just as the Vanprasth stage, the wife follows the husband. Similarly, when the spiritual master retires for Nirjan Bhajan, some of his advanced devotees follow him and engage in the personal service. In other words, those who are very fond of family life should come forward in the service of the spiritual master and abandon so-called happiness offered by the society, friendship, and love. A verse by the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his Guru Ashtaka is significant in this regard. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasad. A disciple should always remember that serving the spiritual master, he can easily advance in Krishna consciousness. All the scriptures recommended this, that it is by pleasing the spiritual master, serving him directly, that one can attain the highest perfectional stage of devotional service. The word uh, Madrakshena is also significant in this verse. Srila Jeev Goswami has explained in his Sandarbha that the word Madira means intoxicating. If one's eyes becoming intoxicated upon seeing the deity, he may be called Madirakshena. Queen Vaidarvi's eyes were very enchanting, just as one's eyes are Madirakshena when engaging in seeing the temple deity. Unless one is an advanced devotee, he cannot fix his eyes on the deities in the temple. Om Agyantimrantasya Jnananjana Chakshunmilitanam Tasmai Shri Gurave Chaitanyanavishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Prakatam Dadati Surapadanti. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Rupakam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sagratam Sarvam Savetam Savritam Parijan Setam Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Pata Sagadata Shivashkar हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांग राधे वृंदावन पुष्पांशुदेव प्रणमामि वांछाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to take note. So I took these notes from one of the lecture of Dravid Prabhu, and I'll be sharing here that. Please forgive me if unintentionally if I made any misinterpretation in sharing it. So, in this lecture given by Dravid Prabhu, he explained the most important job for a devotee is to preach and spread the Krishna consciousness to the world. So, if retiring early to sit alone for the silent worship is only for very advanced and mature devotee, not a neophyte devotee, not for the neophyte devotee. So he was explaining like retirement versus preaching. So Prabhu uses the example of King Prithu, a great king and devotee who divided his kingdom among his sons and went to a solitary place to worship Krishna. Sorry, King Malayadhwaj, not King Prithu. So traditionally, the great kings would retire from their duties and often go to the forest to show renunciation, and there they practiced very severe austerity in the later phase of their life. So Srila Prabhupada explained that the king had many sons to propagate this bhakti cult. So Prabhupada used this example to instruct his own disciple, basically. So the entire world should be divided, Prabhupada told, among the disciple to preach the Krishna consciousness. And when the disciples are grown up and can preach, then the spiritual master should retire to a solitary place to write and do the Nirjan Bhajan. Prabhupada stress on the write, not only the Nirjan Bhajan, but why he was looking for the time to write for us. So why the preaching is priority? So in the lecture, Prabhuji stresses that leaving the preaching field prematurely is not the part of ISKCON philosophy. Why? Because some dangers are involved in the early retirement. So this Nirjan Bhajan, where uh, the devotee meditates alone on one's personal relationship with Krishna, it is very advanced stage, and it is not possible for any new devotee. So Prabhupada quotes here the Bhakti Vinod Thakur, who criticized the pretending to chant in this Nirjan place, a solitary place, simply for cheap adoration, that okay, people will praise that okay, oh, that guy is not even eating twice or just sitting on the bank of some river and just chanting. Prabhupada called, or Bhaktivinoda Thakur called this kind of thing as a cheating. Prabhupada also noticed at that time that some of his own disciples become attracted to some solitary lifestyle of some Babajis in Vrindavan. But they were unable, those devotees who left ISKCON and joined some Babajis there in Vrindavan, they were unable to do the hard practice required. And then gradually they become dissatisfied and then left from there also. So we have the urgent need of knowledge. Prematurely, no one can go and just accept this solitary lifestyle. So this preaching mission started by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is out of compassion, is basically essential because the world is in the state of emergency, need some genuine knowledge. People in this age are very unfortunate. They are very lazy, disturbed by so many things. The social media is like icing on the top of that cake. So they are completely misguided. The knowledge in the Prabhupada's book, starting with the understanding that the soul is eternal, is basically meant to create a revolution in consciousness of the people, material people. So Prabhuji was mentioning that preacher should be like a doctor on the battlefield, holding the remedy and can save and heal the people who are suffering from facing this unknown, what we call the unknown, their future, right? The future is horrible due to their bad karmas. And they are suffering like anything. So preacher should be like a doctor, should be holding the remedy and can save and heal the material people. And Prabhupada, we can see Prabhupada, his life, his own example. So though Prabhupada used to go, I mean, he had a desire to retire, to focus completely on his writing, like completing the Bhagavatam up to 10th canto. But he never actually stopped traveling and actively preaching. He couldn't get time, but he used to manage just sleeping for 4 hours and writing all these things. So he felt that why he used to still travel, and he couldn't, actually retire completely, because he felt that the need to be with the devotees and encourage them was there. So he would constantly travel and sometimes acquire the comfortable and very opulent centers in the USA, but he would not stay long there. And in that way, he was proving that he was not motivated by any material comfort. He was just keep moving, and he was focusing on his original objective, that was writing the books and preaching. So his continuous travel and teaching, even when he was very sick, were driven by urgency of basically establishing this Krishna conscious movement. But he wanted his leading preacher to take over so he could have some time to write the books. And then finally, Prabhuji mentioned some foundation of this movement, that is love and service. So love for the spiritual master is the best means of advancement, because the soul is seeking the unlimited loving exchange with Krishna, which can be provided or facilitated by the spiritual master only. The other foundation is cleaning the heart. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime of cleaning the Gundicha temple represent the process of cleaning the heart through the devotional service. Just as the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looked for every last particle of dust, devotee must be very careful in the same way, because material desire can re-enter in the heart. So the cleansing process must be constant. This chanting, reading, and association of devotees. Next, Prabhuji was mentioned about book distribution. So giving the Prabhupada's book is the most compassionate service to the society. And successful book distributor are motivated to please the spiritual master because they know people need this knowledge so much. Even getting one book can expose a person to this knowledge and even change their life for the better.